Quinn Ewers, the 2021 #1 overall quarterback in his class, is struggling at Texas, and we got to talk about it in this video. But before we get started, I do want to say to anyone who's watching, if you can please like and subscribe, it really does go a long way, helps with the algorithm, and I would really appreciate it. With that said, let's get into the video. At Ohio State, Quinn Ewers was 3rd on the depth chart. He probably saw the writing on the wall. He probably did not see himself beating out CJ Stroud and taking over that starting position. With that said, I'm sure it was an easy decision for him to enter the transfer portal, saw what was going on at Texas, and I'm sure he believed he could have easily gone in there and beat out Hudson Card or Casey Thompson and win the job, and I think that's why he transferred. With that said, transferring at Texas, I'm sure has been a lot more difficult than he had expected. Steve Sarkisian runs a rather complicated offense. Practice reports have indicated that Ewers has struggled to pick it up. He's thrown pick sixes, he's thrown interceptions, he's shown poor body language. Just overall, not something you want to see from your starting quarterback. It hasn't been all bad for Ewers, however. There have been reports that he's thrown some great passes, made some good plays, but unfortunately, he's not where everyone at Texas wanted and expected him to be at this point. It does look like Hudson Card's been getting reps with the ones, and I'm sure if Texas had to play a game tomorrow, Hudson Card would be starting. Hudson Card is not a bad quarterback, but if Texas wants to go where they want to go, they need a quarterback with a bit more natural talent, a bit higher upside. Quinn Ewers does give them that, but unfortunately, he might not be able to pick up the playbook in time. We did see a little bit of what Card can do last year, but he did end up getting benched for Casey Thompson, who also underperformed as well. Now, if Quinn Ewers doesn't win the job, I'm sure as soon as Hudson Card struggles, Steve Sarkisian will receive a lot of pressure to immediately put in Ewers. And right now, Steve Sarkisian, he's not on the hot seat, but if Texas struggles this year, if they have a losing record, there will be a lot of pressure next year. That will probably be a make or break year for Sarkisian. With Arch Manning coming in, I'm sure they're going to give him one more try. If Arch stays committed, they'll see what he can do. But this year, it does matter for development. It does matter to see the talent. It does matter if it's the same old Texas or if they're finally turning things around. And that starts at the quarterback position. Both quarterbacks, according to practice reports, they haven't looked good, but it does look like Card has outperformed Ewers, and I would expect him right now to be the starter. Now, things can change, but we are just a few weeks away, and I don't see Quinn Ewers making the jump big enough to push Card out of the starting lineup, at least for right now. I'm sure he will start at some point. However, again, as soon as Card struggles, Sarkisian is going to put in Ewers. He wants to see what he has out there. Some quarterbacks, they do play better than they practice. That is a real thing. We've seen it all the time in the NFL. We've seen it all the time in college football. A couple years ago, Kyler Murray was in a dead heat with Austin Kendall for the starting quarterback position at Oklahoma. So he too was struggling and ended up winning the Heisman that year and being the #1 overall pick. So you never know. Again, sometimes you just don't practice well, then you play a lot better in real live action. I would be somewhat concerned if I were Texas, but I'm sure once Ewers picks up the playbook, gets more comfortable, gets more reps, then he can perhaps push Card. But right now, again, I would go with Card as a starter. I would go with Card being the starter up until, against Alabama, see how he looks there, and then possibly if he starts to struggle or if it's just a blowout, put in Ewers, see what he can do. But as of right now, according to practice reports at least, he hasn't looked good, and if I was a Texas fan, I would be slightly concerned. But we'll see. We are just a few weeks away, and anything can happen.